Thank you very much, and I want to thank our host tonight. My name is Clark, and I'm a recovering city clerk. Oh, wrong He put me on first because he wants to get the old timers to bed early. But
Hey, wait a minute. No. Boomers, we get better.
I'm really sorry the mayor's not going to be here tonight, but maybe Zach can take this home for him. This was in the book. It's a World War II air raid warden's flak helmet. And lately, the flak's been flying around pretty good. If Zach's still here, if not, I'll give it home. We'll keep it. Okay, let's get down to books, because that's what we're here for. This is a very small book. It was a very short war. Look at Afghanistan, big book. World War II, short book. The reason is, everything that's in this book was motivated by articles and items in the council records of the city of New London. One day, I was wondering, what did we do in a crisis situation? What was a wonderful thing we did after the hurricane? I looked it up and not too much. And I said, okay, well, we fixed the beach and things like that. And I said, oh, wait a minute, let's look and see what this has to be important. The first law when we became a city, it says on the front of the courthouse over here, 1784, we became a real city, not a town, in 1784. Okay, I looked up the records, and here's this big long meeting, and they got a new city clerk, and they got selectmen and all this stuff. And I'm ready. I said, here's what's the History Channel is gonna remember us for this. And I looked to see what the first law was. Had to be an important one. It was a bylaw restraining swine from going at large in the streets. That's not what I was thinking, I said, well, it had to be something. Okay, what did we do in World War II? Pay dirt. Because in World War II, we had a council meeting on December the 8th, 1941. December the 8th. Council chamber is packed. The council's there, people are there, everybody's, what are we going to do? We've got these elected officials, and they got to tell us what direction we're going to run in. And I went on from there. Unfortunately, just like in 1784, the first thing we did wasn't so good. And why would we expect something magnificent to happen? They're regular people. We're at war. What are they going to do? But they came up with, the first law they decided to come up with was, they had to register everybody. We wanted to know who the aliens were, the non-New London people. If you weren't a New Londoner, we want to know who you were. So they said, we're going to register everybody. Everybody's got to have papers. We're going to have everybody go to the police station. We're going to have everybody sign up, and kids, and even infirm people. And someone said, well, what about the people that come into town by the train or the bus? Oh yeah, if you're going to be in town for more than 12 hours, we want your name and address too. We want to know who you are. Well, we're at war. We're going to have a big influx of people, new people into the town. And you think Arizona and New Mexico have problems. New London's going to, if we have a law like that of registration. So finally, to his credit, the older Edmund Eschenfelder, our attorney, stood up and said, you can't do this. This is America. We don't do that. This is European. And everybody stood back, thought, wow, we better do something else. But they had wasted an evening. And they had to come up with a law. They had to come up with some sort of registration. So to their credit, I suppose, they came up with a law registering bootblacks, shoeshine boys. All shoeshine boys in New London had to have registration papers, and they could be asked to show their papers to any policeman on the street. Well, now, you have to figure they put so much work into this alien registration thing that they wanted to recoup some of the work, and we came up with a bootblack ordinance. Now, the sad thing about this story, and it's all in here, it's a small book, it's in here. The sad thing is, We had that ordinance on the books until 3 years ago. And I'm sure there were many bootblacks in town, see them every day, who didn't have a license. Be ashamed of themselves. But we didn't do all those crazy things. We did some wonderful things. Some wonderful things. Some very brave things. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of Senator Burton Wheeler. Senator Burton Wheeler was a senator from Montana. Let me just pull something on my kit. Senator Burton Wheeler, you would better know, how many people have seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Jimmy Stewart movie? They made that movie about Senator Wheeler. The only thing was, this was Hollywood. Senator Wheeler was no Jimmy Stewart. He was a nasty, old, cantankerous senator who didn't want to go to war with Germany. He was linked up with the America First group people, with Charles Lindbergh. And in fact, there is a book written by Philip Roth where Lindbergh and Wheeler become president and vice president. It's a fiction, of course. Well, Burton Wheeler got news from a professor at Connecticut College that the EB, and everybody worked at the EB, and everybody knew somebody worked at the EB. Your father worked at the EB, or your brother, or your uncle, somebody. Said that that was a place for draft dodgers and people who were just trying to not go to the service. And they weren't delivering the submarines on time anyway, and they had too many people working there, and it was a waste of taxpayers' money. Well, to the credit of a very little known mayor, Jimmy May, he came up with a beautiful speech, and he challenged Senator Wheeler. It was a pretty big wheel. Challenged him and presented a very significant speech in the city. Of course, nothing ever happened, except we never found out who the whispering professor was from Connecticut College. However, Burton Wheeler's daughter attended Connecticut College, and one of the counselors was a professor at Connecticut College. So the evidence is that it was one of the counselors themselves. There's a lot of small stories in this little book. Now you can, I picked this one out. This is a big book on not only the war, but it's 1 month. 1 month, December 1941. 1 month. Wonderful book. That shows you to what detail you could go. And maybe I could have gone a little longer. Maybe I'm going to have a sequel to this pretty soon, which will be, it will be interviews with people that are still left that can speak on what they went through in World War II. People not only from New London, people living in New London now. So I've got to get to work on that because we're all getting a little older as the day goes on. I don't want to talk too long. People usually have to pull me off the hook, but I urge you to support this great effort to have a bookstore. The last one I remember was on Meridian Street many years ago, and we need one, and this is a great undertaking. And I want to thank you all very much. Anybody who wants to buy a book, I got a few left. They've been donated to the New London County Historical Society. Every penny goes to them, except the movie rights, which I'm keeping.